So hi, my name is Murray. This is Ian, aka the husband. We're here today because we recently bought a place in Portugal, in a place that I can't yet pronounce, with a person who must not be named. Sorry, no, I think it's called Foz de Lahero. No, close. Dorelio. Okay, with a lovely man called Dylan.
Hello.
And we're here on his podcast, Portugal Simple Life. So. Enjoy.
Welcome back, or welcome to another episode of Portugal the Simple Life, and I'm really delighted to be joined here by Ian and Morel. For many of you listeners know, we do a series on the podcast called My Home in Portugal, where I interview normal people.
I don't know about that.
You can talk to us until the normal people turn up.
Yeah, we have discovered Portugal, found our home in Portugal, and fallen in love with Portugal. Maybe you can start off by telling us a bit about yourselves.
Yeah.
And thank you for being on the podcast.
You're welcome. Thanks for inviting us.
I had to offer you free coffee and things like that to get you here.
It takes some bribe to get us
to
do
it.
it.
It's okay.
That's the characteristics of being British. Anything that's free, we're there. It's fine.
We'll queue,
Yeah.
we'll wait, and we're there.
Yeah, I don't know where to start really. Obviously, we're originally from the southwest of the UK, so the weather there is generally grey and wet and miserable. And the UK is not what I would class as a very good place to be nowadays. So we were always then looking for somewhere to retire to, or somewhere that we could escape to and to get some nice weather and also to enjoy some good golf. So then we started to look around, and a friend of ours also has lived in this area for many years now. So we kind of came out and started to have a look around and see what we could find, and then we saw the advertisements for the place up in Foz and thought, well, let's go and have a look.
You still can't pronounce it though.
Well, I can't pronounce the second part of it.
Foz. Everyone calls it. The local Portuguese call it people call it Foz.
Okay, it's when people go, where did you buy the place? I said, it's right there. I can't pronounce it, but it's there.
It's in Portugal.
Yeah.
It's in Portugal.
It's in
Coast.
Portugal, Silver Coast, near the beach. That's all you need to know.
Exactly.
But we did look at other places. So, so my name is Marie. I'm originally from Belgium, but I've lived in the UK for quite some time. I do like the UK, opposite to the husband.
The husband.
Yeah. So whenever I disagree, I'm the husband.
If he's in the doghouse, it's the husband.
If I agree, then I'm here.
No, we I've lived in the UK for quite some time, so we were looking at places to retire, etc. And I have to say, initially, mine was like Marbella, Spain, that kind of side, like the hot, the sun, and all that stuff. But then we start looking at Portugal, and then we did the ultimate test, trying to find the right area, whereby we went all the way to the south, drove all the way to the coast, and trying to pick an area that we kind of felt a bit at home as well, I guess, because you have to feel home wherever you buy. So we didn't want it to be high, like very condensed, like the tall buildings, etc., and like very touristy. We also wanted to feel, I don't know, some of what Portugal is all about, the good food. And I have to say, the tipping point for me about the buying in this area was actually when you took us to the restaurant.
Okay.
The reason for that is not for the free meal. It's when we drove to the.
See, free British,
I
free.
should have known all that. Right from the
That's all
beginning.
it takes.
It was. We drove in the little village, and I thought, this. I don't know if it looks quiet and all that stuff. But then we went in the restaurant. You looked at it from the outside, and it didn't look very special. But you went in there, and it was like the atmosphere, the people, the food, the wine, and I'm thinking,
It's very
oh my
authentic.
God,
isn't
this
it?
is what this place is about.
Yeah.
So that kind of was the tipping point for me that I said, no, I do like it here, actually.
Yeah.
You need to see beyond some of the surroundings. And I do like the area. The weather, obviously.
We're going to get on to how that all happened, because it was quite unique in how you guys decided on the apartment and how we finally locked everything down. It was an adventure.
Are you saying we're difficult?
No, not at all. Off camera, maybe I will say that, but no. But just coming back, we are seeing, I think the world has changed a lot, and people are now realizing I don't have to be locked in geographically. I can be somewhere else. The world has become smaller. You mentioned in the UK, and I know it's a bit different to what you're feeling, but you mentioned the UK is not becoming that nice. We're not just talking about weather.
No, it's. I've said it for a long time now. I think the UK has lost its identity a little bit, and even if I look at the town that we're from in Swindon, it's a lot of industry has left. So Swindon used to be. I mean, you go back as far as in history as you want to go. Isambard Kingdom Brunel came from Swindon, invented the railways. The railway works were always in Swindon, and then you had the car manufacturing in there. So you had what used to be Leyland Loafer Rover, and then it went into BMW. Then you had Honda there. You used to have big companies like Nationwide Building Society, Allied Dunbar. You had all these big companies. Swindon was a big booming town that had direct rail links into central London. And again, if you went the other way, it was straight into Wales. So location-wise, it was perfect, and it was reasonably priced. Now, all of that industry, the majority of that is gone. The railways have closed down, Honda's shut up and left, BMW is still there, but it's just the bodywork that they do before they ship everything to Oxford, where they manufacture the car. So it's only a small part of it in Swindon. Allied Dunbar shut down and gone. So all of the main big companies have gone. And with that, it's kind of...
You've lost a bit of the soul of the
Yeah.
place.
Yeah,
It
it's
does.
basically ripped the guts out of the town, and you wander through the town centre now, and it's full of either barbers or vape shops or foreign supermarkets. All of the main shops, whether it's sports shops or fashion shops, that they've all shut down and gone because, again, and this isn't just down to the UK and Swindon, it's you start looking at society in general, people shop online. They get it delivered to their door. So all of these shops are shut down, so the town centre is not nice anymore. And you look at the different areas around Swindon and other towns, it's not that nice. So then going back to your point where you're not geographically locked in, you start looking at it and go, well, actually, why do I need to stay here? The world's a big place. Let's go and explore something else.
Yeah.
And I've said the same to my kids as well. Don't stay in Swindon in England. Look further afield. Look to go somewhere else. Go and explore the world. It's a big place. There's lots to see. And until you've spent the time out living somewhere else, you don't actually appreciate what beauty there is in other countries. I mean, obviously, Mireille knows, she comes from Belgium. I've spent 10, 11 years living in Germany, the Czech Republic, the Netherlands, and now hopefully here in Portugal very soon. And there's just so much to see and do that the UK seems to don't have anymore because it's kind of lost a lot of its soul.
Interesting.
So that was kind of why we started to investigate and
somewhere
look,
else.
because I always said I don't want to retire in the UK. And I'm getting to that stage now where next year I could take early retirement if I want to. And I definitely don't want to stay in the UK. So I want to be somewhere where it's generally nice and warm and you don't have to, but not too hot, because I can't sit out in heat for too long if it's too hot. But I want to be somewhere where the weather's nice, because when the sun shines it makes you feel good, makes you smile, makes you happy. So we just wanted to start looking for somewhere else, and then as Mireille said as well, we started looking at Spain, and then you've got the political situation in Spain that's forever changing, and we also then looked at places like Italy, and then started looking at Portugal.
Yeah. Okay. Because we first started speaking last year, we're talking 2024, we first started getting in touch. I must tell you, probably our first 3 or 4 months of interaction was about beer, basically. We were just sending each other pictures of whatever beer we were drinking, and a lot of the time was Belgian beer. So there you go.
We're good at something.
You are good at that. But that was kind of when we started. But just, how did Portugal get on your radar? Was it just by process of elimination, or had you visited before coming?
We had visited before, because as I said, we got a friend of ours that has been living over here for quite a few years.
And I have a friend that lives in the south as well, in the Algarve.
Okay.
So, and I've met up with her in a boot camp, to be honest. And we were talking about where do you want to go, places to buy, and we had like a short list of countries, which was, as I said, was Spain, Portugal, and obviously Italy. And I have to say, Portugal was initially not on my radar. It was talking to my friend, and then he was like, "Well, what about Portugal?" And and I was like, not sure. What about the weather? Because as you know, the weather was like the first time we came here in January. I'm like, it's raining, and you went, it's January. What do you want? So it was.
It was January, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
grey sky.
Yeah.
So it was that. But as I said, it was, and again, I wasn't initially sold on the location, I have to say, but the Silver Coast. But it was really as a
because
driving
you
of
were-
the.
I mean, if I remember correctly, you had booked to come to Place in the Sun, Bristol,
Yes.
to look at a couple of different locations of Portugal, and
Yeah.
by the time you got to Bristol, you'd already reserved
already
the apartment.
booked.
So it was
Yeah.
kind of like, okay,
Yeah.
well, let's just go anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, because when you're looking at the place in the sun in Bristol, it wasn't just Portugal that we were coming there to look for.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
we were, when we bought the tickets for
tickets,
Place
you
in the
weren't
Sun,
sure.
that's when we were like, okay, we definitely want to buy something abroad.
Yeah,
So then that's when we then started looking at, okay, Portugal's on the list, but then what else is at the Place in the Sun? And it's like, okay, well then there is also Spain, and there was the south of France, and there was Italy, and I think there was, I think even other places there in Croatia or something. There's lots of other different places that we were kind of like, well, okay, let's go with an open mind and let's have a look at it. And then you're absolutely right. By the time that it came round, we bought those tickets months in advance.
Yeah, we already
and
bought
by the
this
time it was
place.
like, oh, we're coming there, we'd already reserved the place that we've got. And then
Yeah.
it was like, oh, Dylan, we'll see you at the place and we'll come and
We'll
say hello.
come and say hello
we don't,
anyway,
we've
yeah.
got the tickets
Yeah.
anyway, we'll come and say hello.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So,
I think it was the initial, because if you remember, I was the nervous one out of the two.
no,
in terms of-
I don't recall any of that. Yeah, I remember. No,
like,
hold
oh
on,
my
but
God.
I'm gonna back up a bit here because the more nervous one was your husband when he came out the first time on his own to make a decision
rigging the right-
without you. He was very nervous. Okay, what's Maria going to think? No, you were both nervous, which is completely normal.
well, I was just in the normal husband mode then, because
Yeah.
it was like, whatever decision I make, it will be wrong. So it doesn't matter what it was, it will be wrong.
No, you came out here to make the decision, and then it was a case
There
you
were-
couldn't make the decision.
There were
so-
two properties that you were quite keen on, and that was, I remember you saying, well, whatever one it is, I'm going to be wrong. And the one that you thought was going to be, the one that you had the most concern about the location was the one in Foz, which in the end Maria was like,
Yeah.
actually, this is nice.
Yeah.
This is nice in terms
It's
of,
the restaurant.
this is the restaurant. It should have taken you for food straight away.
Yeah, because that first one we went to look at, we walked in and I was like, yeah, she'll like this one. This
That
is
was in
this,
situ? Was it
No,
in
I think that
Nazaré?
was-
That was always here
That
in
was,
San
that, was,
Martino?
that was here in San
Yeah.
Martino. So
Yeah.
the one in Nazaré, we went and had a look at it.
That was
No,
it.
actually, it was Nazaré. You're
Yeah,
right.
the one in situ, yeah, up on the
'Cause,
top.
no, not the one on the top.
Oh,
It was
okay.
the one that was very close walk to the beach.
Yes,
Because then, because I was looking at it, and it was it was busy enough, but not too busy
yeah,
at the time that we went there, and it was like less than a 5-minute walk to the beach. Plenty of bars and restaurants around. The apartment
it.
was really nice,
Yeah.
and I thought she'll really like this.
and you took a video.
Took
and
a video.
straight away it was no.
Straight away it was no, because when you looked at the back, it was over that big car
The car
park.
park.
And she was like, I don't want to sit there and look out over a car park. And
You
I
have
was
fly
like,
on your head.
oh, okay. And then even the one in Foz, I was kind of, I love the apartment, but I wasn't sure about the location because I thought, this is too quiet, there's nothing here.
Yeah,
And it was like, well, if I could pick up the apartment in Foz and stick it here,
yeah,
this would be perfect
Yeah.
because you've got the nice bay and everything's
Yeah.
beautiful.
yeah,
And then it was only then again when we drove through, and then Murray came over to join me for the other visits. It was like, what do you think? And it's like, oh yeah, okay, it's still a bit quiet, but again, it was kind of
Yeah.
off season. The bars and restaurants
Yeah.
weren't really open, and
yeah,
it wasn't. And even going back to the point that Murray made about that restaurant that we went to, it didn't look like a restaurant from the outside.
Yeah.
It was like as soon as you walked through the doors, you were transformed into
Transported.
transported
Yeah.
into kind of proper Portugal. This
Yeah,
is
yeah.
this is genuine.
Well, I mean, sticking onto the process because it was a little bit different. Normally, most cases people will come out together, see things together. You came out literally on a weekend.
Yes.
You met up with your friend who lives out here. I remember. I think
Yeah.
you met up with your friend just to get a kind of an inside scoop onto okay, what's it really like.
Yeah.
That came back okay, and then I remember a lot of video calls driving through the village
Yes.
with
Can't make a
Marie
decision, you know.
from the rooftop of the apartment. with the
Yeah.
pool. At one stage, your phone wasn't working. You had to FaceTime Maria from my phone. So we went all out to keep you in the loop. All out.
You did, thank you.
After that, you reserved it, but kind of based on Maria's going to come back, and if she's happy, then
we put the deposit down, and Liz would like, if she likes it, precondition.
We wanted to make sure that it wasn't a non-refundable deposit, in case.
Well, it literally just said in the contract, non-refundable unless the wife doesn't like it.
Yeah.
You need to have that.
Okay. Between my job as a realtor at Portugal Realty and hosting this podcast, life is pretty busy. But lately I've been receiving so many messages from people that want to know more about buying property here on Portugal's Silver Coast that I've got to do something about it. So starting now, for subscribers only, I'm offering up a 30-minute session per day. That's 5 30-minute sessions for a one-on-one meeting to talk about buying property here on Portugal's beautiful Silver Coast. This is for subscribers only. So please subscribe to book your session and get in touch with us through the links below via WhatsApp or email to book your session today. I'll be happy to speak to you. It's for subscribers only and it's completely free. And then you came out, we'll talk more about the location because I think that's important, and then kind of you were both happy and now you own an apartment in Portugal.
It has been a roller coaster of emotions from start to even yesterday. It was like, oh my god, I had like 4 Aperol Spritz to recover after yesterday.
That's a normal day, by the way. It's got nothing to do with the apartment.
It's been a roller coaster because you kind of keep going backwards and forwards. Like, am I making the right decision? And I think I was putting too much pressure on the whole situation, like generally thinking like, is this my forever home? And then you said that as well, it doesn't have to be for your forever home. If for a couple of years you want to move to a house, you can still do that. So it was that kind of puts you to ease as well.
Yeah. So, we had those conversations. What in the worst case scenario, it's a good investment.
Yeah.
And if you need to then do something else, upgrade, you've got that flexibility, which was a part of the conversation as well.
Yeah, because obviously when we first started, we were talking about, and then this I guess is where the roller coaster of emotions comes in, when you're sat with some money in the bank and you're just investing it into a fixed interest account and you've got interest coming in, and then you suddenly take that safety blanket away and go, you know what, I'm going to put it all in, I'm going to put it all into an apartment and buy it outright.
Yeah.
And then you buy an apartment and then you look in your bank account and you go, oh, it's all gone. But actually it's not all gone because I've got a nice apartment in Portugal now. Yeah. And as you say, worst case scenario, 2, 3, 4 years down the line, if it's not our forever home, we sell it and we go somewhere else or we do something differently with it. But when you start investing in property, it should be a case of in 3 to 4 years time, if we sell it, we get a greater return than we would have done if we'd have left it in the bank. Sure.
I think it was, as I said, it was a roller coaster, but it was also a process of elimination as to what we wanted, where, how, what do we want from an apartment, what did we want from the region, and that's why we probably did it the hard way. We thought it might make it easy by buying the place in the sun tickets, but I think, as I said, by coming out here and because even Ian came here first and he sent all the videos, I at that point was still not 100% convinced. And it took for me, we spent how many hours in the car, and we literally drove through every coastal town that we literally picked this, and we drove through that.
After you gone back, then you drove. You drove here together.
So literally we came in, I think one of our last visits we came over, we picked up the hire car from Lisbon Airport, we drove all the way down to the Algarve, and then
you still drove down to the Algarve.
So we drove all the way down to the Algarve, around Lagos and around that area at the bottom, and then literally then drove all the way back up the coastal way, back up through Lisbon, back up, and then all the way back up to Nazaré, and then back down, obviously, to Caldas.
And we looked at properties, areas, and we did that, and it was like, no, this is not it. And then, because they were all very condensed, as I said, very, very tall buildings, not a big fan of like the tall building look as well. And it took all the extended thing to do that, like driving all the way, to then go back to the original idea of, well, this is the first one we saw, and you know, and then we stuck with it. So that's the thing.
You'd have thought we would have learned by now,
yeah,
wouldn't you? Because every time we've bought
We've
somewhere,
done- it's the
we've
first
done
we go
I
exactly.
back to
remember
the
that
first
you always
thing,
said it's the
Every
first
time.
one. It's the first one.
Every time we go, whether it's in the UK, whether it was in the Netherlands, and now here, every time we've gone to look at buying property, the very
gut
first one that we come across and we go, oh, that's nice, let's go and see what else there is, we always come back to the first one that we really liked.
Because before you came out, we had a couple of Zoom calls.
Yep.
We spoke about other properties, but that was the first one that you ever inquired about.
That was
Yes.
the one we
that you
saw.
ended
That's
up
the one
buying.
we really liked, and that's the one we kept going back to. But as you said, if you've got that money sitting there and then you have to hand it over to somebody, it's a pretty scary thing to do.
Yeah.
So we had to go through the long-winded process of kind of, as I said, eliminating all that stuff, and then kind of going, no, it is the right property. And even to the, as I said, the restaurant thing and the feel you get when you were in that mill, that kind of made that changed the decision point for my side.
But that was the
And
other thing
obviously
that we
then
were
the
looking for, though, wasn't it?
the sun came out.
The sun came out.
Because the other thing we were looking at, and that's not just here in Portugal, it was for a kind of holiday home, retirement home. The other thing that we've always said is that we want like a traditional small village town feel. We don't want to be stuck in a big tourist area like the Algarve, because we don't want to be surrounded by a load of British tourists in the summer.
We're British ourselves, but anyway.
Yeah, I know, but if we want that, we would have gone on all these different holidays as well, whether it's
we go to the
surrounded,
Cotswolds.
where it's surrounded by those kind of people. We wanted a traditional feel.
Yeah. Well, just to put a bow on the process, I mean, it was quite simple because the apartment was finished, so you weren't getting anything off plan. You're now in the stage of, okay, we're deciding what we're going to do with the apartment. Are we going to furnish it? Are we going to rent it out? You know, a couple of things that need to get fixed up on the apartment, which is normal for a new build. There's always a little bit of snagging.
Yep.
But coming back to the location, I mean, something quite interesting, which you both have kind of alluded to. I mean, you mentioned Swindon and how much it's changed and lost a bit of that authenticity.
Yep.
That's something that you guys then felt driving and experiencing Foz. You mentioned the restaurant, but I mean, it's something quite special when you can go to a place and it's that same restaurant that's been there for 20 years.
Yeah.
It's the same little mini markets along the road.
The school. And also remember when we went into that was the other thing that I really liked actually. We went into the apartment, and the lady that lives next door, and she waved at us, and I'm thinking she doesn't even know who I am, why I'm here, but she was waving at us, and I'm thinking you wouldn't get that at home. Come on, a random person kind of going hello.
Yeah.
And this was so it was little things like that you think, okay,
there's something here.
Giant
I mean,
beef.
just to compare, I mean, you drove through the Algarve, you drove through a lot of the country, and then came back to this one. But we know it's not just about the apartment itself. We know it's got to do with the location.
Yeah.
What was it you felt when comparing, and I mean, I'm not asking you to speak badly about other locations, but when comparing what you'd seen in other areas to what you saw here on the Silver Coast in general, what were those things that sort of, for you, made it feel good, that made sense?
I mean, for me, it was similarly. I had a similar feeling when I moved to the Netherlands with a job. The very first time I landed in the Netherlands and kind of walked across a car park to go to the supermarket, I had about 3 or 4 different people walking the other way that all said hello. And I was like, this feels like home. People are friendly, people are nice. And as Marie said, first time we were there and you see the neighbour waving and saying hello, you kind of feel like, actually, yeah, I could live here. This feels nice. And it's got the traditional kind of Portuguese village kind of feel to it. It's not overcrowded. So it was, for me, it was just a case of it
I
feels
think it's
homely.
the homey feeling. You're still on. It feels like you're still on a holiday, but you don't feel like a tourist. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you don't feel like, and that you don't get treated like that either.
Yeah. I mean, you both have pretty hectic lives, or have had pretty hectic lives. You work.
He doesn't.
You work your butt off, but you've had your own health issues and stuff.
Yeah.
Congrats on the marathon, the London Marathon.
Thank you.
How did that go?
Oh, it was tough,
Yeah.
but it was an amazing day.
Yeah.
I mean, I raised just over £2,700 for cancer research, and it was an amazing day. But it was tough going. I think the last kind of 12 miles, so I was literally just over halfway, and then I had severe cramp in both legs, and I was struggling to move. I was struggling to walk. And at one point, even one of the stewards came over and he was like, "Stay there and I'll get the ambulance people to come and pick you up." And I'm like, "Get them away from me. I will finish this marathon. Even if I have to crawl across the line, I will finish it." And somehow I managed to dig deep and get through it. I mean, the time wasn't great, but it was such an amazing day. I've got the medal to say I've did it. I raised some good money for cancer research, so it's obviously a charity very close to the heart nowadays. But yeah. So yeah, it was an amazing day.
So when you guys have come from this hectic corporate health, the chaos, a bit of chaos in the UK, and then I know for you it was very important, somewhere I can slow down, somewhere I can play golf. You keep mentioning that you didn't want anything high-rise buildings. I mean, this is something that's lovely about the Silver Coast is we just don't do high-rise. It's just amazing ways. If you go onto the beach in Portimao, for example, it's 10, 15-story buildings.
Yeah.
And very
did all
on
those
top of
things.
each other.
Yeah, and so did that also contribute to how it felt? It's just the space, the being able to breathe, being able to just go, okay, well, if I want to sit on my balcony and do nothing, I can do that. If I want to take a stroll down the road to the beach, if I want to go across the lagoon and play golf, but you've got that time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was probably one of the major factors that we had to take into consideration, because we didn't want anything that was going to be overlooked by other buildings. We didn't want to be stuck in an area where you've got a beautiful view of the countryside and then a year later suddenly they're going to stick a high-rise building there, and then you go, I paid for this view and now it's gone. So that was some of the conditions that obviously we spoke about before. Was, okay, we want the space. Okay, we're only buying a 2-bedroom apartment ourselves, but we want somewhere where there's not overcrowding of other buildings, you're not being overlooked, you're close enough to the beach and other amenities, and you're like, you know what, and it just ticked all the boxes. It was a really, as I say, it was it's a lovely apartment, perfect location. It's close enough, when I look at the location wise, you're like less than 10 minutes to Caldesh into the next biggest town.
City,
You're like 10-15 minutes drive from here. Was it 20 minutes, 25 minutes to Nazaré if you wanted to go up that far?
And on the other side you got the golf.
And then exactly.
Have you played yet?
No, not yet, because I haven't brought my clubs
Scouting
over
out
yet.
tomorrow.
So we're going to go over there tomorrow once we've got everything else sorted.
Start at Praia del Rei. Start at Praia del Rei and work your way down.
Yeah, so the plan is just to go and kind of check them all out and see what the membership costs are, and just kind of see how windy it is up on the top, because I don't need any more obstacles with my golf.
Have you swum in the pool? Yeah.
Not yet, no.
No, not yet. We literally
Landed.
Landed.
Furniture store hunt, which didn't go very well, but I blame the driver. But no, it's as I said, I think
Well, to be fair, let me just say, you've come to chill out, and then the first thing you've done is gone into Lisbon. Just don't do it, Maria.
I know,
Don't
but
just
we
stay,
have to.
just
No,
stay.
Yeah,
we
let's
have
go
to,
and
we have
relax.
to get
Okay.
all the things
Here's
sorted.
20 furniture shops I want to
It was
see
30,
in
by
Lisbon.
the way.
It's like, okay.
And I
great.
put them in order, like distance to follow and everything. So
And another thing, I know also for you, I mean, because it was me and Ian had mostly spoke before he came. For you, it was also important, like, I need to suss out the people that he's talking to, because it is important. But it is important, like, okay, is this people that we can trust, that know what we want, that know the area? Was that important to you as well, the fact that you've got people on the ground here who are going to go through all of this with you?
and even now, if you think about it, like if we still not, in theory, your job's ended, isn't it?
In theory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even now, when we have a question, you still answer our text messages. Do you see what I mean? So it's kind of that you go above and beyond. So it's that is important as well, because as I said, it's like your life savings you're handing over to somebody, and then you hear all these horror stories and everything about things going wrong. But it's even now, if you think about it now, with us just sitting here, as I said, in theory your job is done, but you go above and beyond. So you did also make a difference, I have to say that. and it was like
Wasn't
all
just the
lit,
restaurant? Wasn't just the restaurant?
This is the house wine, and I'm like, I never drink house wine, and then I drank the house wine. I'm thinking, oh my god, I love it already.
Well, the funny part is you were kind of preparing for the marathon. You didn't want to drink any.
Yeah.
You were like, I'm dry at the moment, and
It's all right, I'll drink
can
it.
you confirm or deny you may have had a sip? Like a little
Oh
bit,
yeah, I completely lost all
Don't
faith.
even go.
So even some of the preparation runs leading up to
Go on,
marathon.
half marathon. What was your diet?
I did a half marathon at the Goodwood race circuit leading up, and so we were staying in the hotel the night before. So then we go to the restaurant in the hotel, and it's like, what you're going to have? I'm like, I'll have a steak and a bottle of red wine. So the night before I did a half marathon, I had a steak and a bottle of red wine,
And he ran his
Got you
best
through.
time.
and it was my best time.
You see the red
And
wine.
then the other half
No
marathons I did, where I didn't have steak and a bottle of red wine, my time was rubbish.
Did you have a bottle of red wine before the marathon?
No.
No.
You should have.
No,
You see?
yeah.
It
Portuguese
was
bottle of
the-
red wine even.
It was the water, it was the electrolytes, it was the
Yeah.
pasta bowl and everything, and it just cramped.
Can you remember what you ate at the restaurant?
No, but it was lovely. I just
Octopus,
remember the
I think.
wine.
You had octopus.
Octopus, yeah.
I just remember the wine, and when you went house wine, I'm like, I don't like house wine. I don't drink house wine. blah, blah, blah.
You didn't
And
think
then-
it, you said it. You're like, just try it, and if it doesn't work, we'll get a bottle. And it was okay. It worked out well. In
No,
the
it was
end.
really nice. I'm like, I'm going to have to go back now.
Because that's why as well, when we, on one
Cost
of the
of
visits
living
that
up,
I came
yeah.
out and we went for lunch along the bay on that restaurant that's,
on the wooden one.
Yeah. and that's why I sent her a picture, because in the top corner of the bar was a bottle of Aperol.
I remember. Yeah.
But that was another thing
That was closed. It was closed. Okay, we'll
Yeah.
come out because of the April.
Because
Yeah,
that was
sorry, go ahead.
that was the other thing about Portugal, and obviously the cost of living in the UK, which is absolutely crazy at the moment. If you like, looking at your shopping booths or going out and stuff like that. But you come to places like this, and as I said, in that restaurant, and what we paid for the meal, and it was just,
It was crazy in
it's like
comparison.
you can't cook for this.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I mean,
it's
if you,
all then adds up of to
All-
what do you
all
want
adds up,
and
yeah.
where do you want to go.
I mean, if you go out just for a basic meal in the UK nowadays, for two of you, you won't get any change out of £100.
Well,
Well, even yesterday, I
crazy.
had an Aperol, and it was like
which is
£7.
not what we spent that day for lunch.
No,
Yeah.
no.
It's
I mean,
just-
£100 nowadays is what, €120 with the current exchange rate. You wouldn't get any change from €120 for a meal for two people in the UK.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Everything's just so expensive over there now.
Yeah. So end of the day, you've got the apartment. It's yours. What are you looking forward to now in terms of this area and Portugal? What are you looking forward to?
Now, to be honest, I'm looking forward to getting all the furniture in, because that's our circumstances have changed as well, as you know. Initially it was going to be retirement only, but then that's changed again because the laws got changed in the UK. You now have to be 57 to retire, so I have to work longer. So now we decided, okay, we're going to rent out the place, which means, okay, this is now what we want to do from furniture and everything. So now we're actually trying to get it furnished, and I love to enjoy it because I don't feel like I've enjoyed it yet.
No.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Is okay. Yes, we're going to look at renting it out, but
Well,
it's
I
going
will
to
enjoy it as
be
well.
nice to have it completely finished, have furniture in there. So then, if we go, let's disappear for a long weekend or a week, we can jump on a plane, we can come over here. It's only a 2.5 hour flight. And we've got somewhere to stay. We've got our own home here. We don't have to.
rent.
We don't
Yeah.
have to go and either rent an Airbnb or another apartment, or we don't have to book a hotel room. We've got our own house now that we can actually come and enjoy it, and just spend the time that once it's furnished, we can then come over here and spend the time and just fully relax and just not have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking forward to the most now. It's just
Enjoying it.
spending some time over here, especially with myself not working now at the moment. I can just chill out and just jump on a plane and
just come when you want.
I mean, because if Murray
Don't
has to go,
encourage him.
if Murray has to go away for business or whatever, I can just jump on a plane with my golf clubs and come on
Okay.
over. And I've got a place
I
to
have
stay.
to work longer now. That's all right. He's going to move to Portugal.
You can come and visit me at weekends. It's fine.
Okay.
Brilliant. I know it's early days, but it's something that you also alluded to when the lady greeted you and all those kind of things. But why does Portugal feel like home?
I think it's one of those things that's very difficult to explain or to put into words. It's just it's a feeling that you get when you wander through somewhere different. I mean, we've both travelled to many different countries, whether it's through work or pleasure.
Yes.
And you can wander through. I mean, for example, we first moved from the UK to Germany with work, and we lived there for about 6 months. I didn't feel at home once, didn't like it. And even recently I went to Germany for 3 days on work. Hated every second of it, didn't like it.
I don't mind Germany.
I wouldn't ever, I don't mind going to visit different places and seeing what the world's like. But Germany, for example, I wouldn't want to go and live there. Here, as soon as I come here and started wandering around, I'm like, yeah, this feels good. It's nice and calm, it's nice and relaxed, the people are lovely, the food's good, the wine's good, the golf's good. I just, if I was to find any negative about it so far, it's too windy for me golf because I need all the help I can get. But other than that,
pick your golf course wisely. Don't get wet. Don't go West Cliffs.
Exactly. You know? That's. I need to be where it's not too windy because I need some help.
So maybe it will be a better one. It's a little bit in. You know, in a bit of a valley.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it just feels at home.
I think for Portugal, it's like they embrace you, but they don't change who they are. And now these days, a lot of places where you go, they feel like they have to. They change their identity. And in Portugal, as I said, they embrace you.
Wow.
But don't expect, and that's what I like about it.
Very good. Yeah, that's interesting. I never thought about it that way.
Because even like with the language, like yesterday, you know, it was like, I do need to start learning how to Portuguese. You do need to speak the language where you go and live. So we do need to start learning Portuguese. So they'll try to speak English, but they don't, it's like, oh, we don't have to change for you. You're coming here. So that's how, they embrace you, but don't expect them to change. And that's what I like, because that's how it should be.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's why you still have all this, especially in this area as well, if you look around, like the culture and the traditions, and I like that. Yeah. And it should be like that.
Yeah. Very nice. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
We didn't jump off tables and we're like OTT or anything like that. That's why I said, have you ever interviewed British people before? Because we don't do, oh my God, we don't do that.
No, we're good.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. It's been good. It's been fun.
So thank you once again to our guest, and thank you to all of you for listening. Please subscribe, share with your friends, give us a thumbs up, and please leave a comment or a review. We always love to hear from you. Don't forget, Portugal The Simple Life also has a magazine, so download it, it's for free. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode, and as we say in Portugal, sejas bem-vindo. Welcome to The Simple Life.